Hello and welcome to ADHD Support Talk Radio. My name is Tara McGillicuddy, and I'm the host of ADHD Support Talk Radio. I am also an adult ADD and ADHD productivity coach and the founder and director of ADDclasses.com. And at ADDclasses.com, we provide virtual support and education to people affected by ADD and ADHD. We offer free webinars. We have an extensive ADD audio library with more than 175 courses, and we also offer more in-depth support programs. You can learn more about ADDclasses.com and sign up for a free webinar by going to the website www.addclasses.com. And with that, I would like to welcome back Deb Burdick to ADHD Support Talk Radio. In just a moment, we're going to be talking about concentration in ADHD. But before we get started, Deb, can you let our listeners know a bit about yourself and how to get in touch with you after they listen to the show?
Sure, Tara. Thanks for having me on. I'm Deb Burdick. You can reach me at www.thebrainlady.com. thebrainlady.com. I am a mindfulness and ADHD expert and the author of, I guess, 5 books by now on mindfulness and on ADHD. I'm delighted to share that my ADHD non-medication treatments and skills for children and teens workbook just won the Benjamin Franklin Gold Award in psychology. So I'm very excited about that. And just semi-retired, trying not to work so hard, but I have a long history of helping clients with ADHD as a psychotherapist and as a neurofeedback practitioner.
Okay. And what's your website address?
It's www.thebrainlady.com.
Yeah, definitely check out Deb's website. She has some great resources, and she's one of the first people that actually I know of that was talking about mindfulness in relationship to ADHD. I know a lot of people are covering it now, and it's more mainstream, but Deb's one of the pioneers when it comes to mindfulness and ADHD, so check out her website. But today we're talking about concentration in ADHD and pretty much like what's getting in the way and what might be interfering with concentration in ADHD. So where should we begin when it comes to concentration, Deb?
Well, I just want to start with the neurobiology of ADHD. I mean, there is a good reason why folks with ADHD have trouble concentrating. It's brain-based. We have neuroimaging now where we can see what's going on in the brain. With the neurofeedback, we always did QEEGs. It's a quantitative electroencephalogram, so it's a classic EEG, but then the brainwave data is compared to normative databases, and we can see there are the most common type of ADHD, the prefrontal cortex, which is in the front, kind of in your forehead, in that area of the brain, is running too slowly. And the theta waves, which are their daydreaming waves, are too high there. And the prefrontal cortex is like the conductor of an orchestra or the executive in a business. It's in charge of everything. And so it's responsible for paying attention, sustaining attention, motivation, planning, organizing, all of those things that folks with ADHD typically have trouble with. And so it's not good at filtering out distractions, and it's not good at staying focused. Mm-hmm. So, there's a reason why folks with ADHD have trouble concentrating, why that's, basically the core symptom of ADHD. And, a lot of folks say, oh, it's all in your head. Well, it is. It's in your brain. It's in your brain.
Yes,
so not filtering out.
It is in your head.
It is. It's biological,
mm-hmm.
and it affects people, each person differently. But we find that there are some ways to actually help with that. Mm-hmm. With neurofeedback, we can train the brain waves back into more normal ranges and improve concentration. Mindfulness, the research is compelling about how it can improve your ability to pay attention. It also helps you with depression and anxiety, which are so common along with ADHD. Exercise can help with concentration. Just going for a walk 30 minutes, 4 or 5 times a week will improve concentration. It also will improve depression. Medication has been the first line of treatment forever for ADHD. It can be very effective for improving concentration, but unfortunately some people really can't take it. It has some side effects that are too unpleasant for them, or for some people it just doesn't really work the way they want it to. So oftentimes we have to find other options for helping with concentration besides and in addition to medication, because medication isn't always the whole answer, as many of your listeners will attest to, I'm sure.
And it's good to know that there are ways that you can improve concentration. And you listed some, especially the mindfulness, which doesn't cost a thing. Exercise, in most cases, does not cost anything. So there are effective treatments that you don't have to, spend a ton of money on, that have research behind them that, validates that they can be helpful.
That's right. And as we go through today, I'll tell you a couple of other ways to do it as well. Some of the other things that interfere with our concentration. We live in a really distracted environment. Our culture is. There's so many things vying for our attention. We have now we have this addiction to screens. We have all kinds of social media and reasons that we get onto our computers and our tablets and our phones, and it has been shown to be as addictive as heroin to the brain. And it really derails someone who has trouble with concentration already because it's very attractive, and it draws your attention, and then you aren't doing what you set your intention to do.
It is. And I'm on Facebook, and I don't go on it as much as I used to. And I was on it for something the other day, and I went on there for something specific, and something took my attention away. And I'm like, okay, what was I here for? So and I'm sure most of the people, or a lot of the people listening, can relate to that, whether it's Facebook, or it's some other electronic, technological distraction.
And even in the computer games that we have. I have to admit, I'm addicted to Candy Crush. I am. I really have to be mindful about how I use it and how often, because I sometimes won't go to bed as early as I want to because I'm playing this game. It happens to everyone, not just with ADHD, but I think it's even worse when you do have that.
Yeah, and you're someone who's aware of it and knows how it can interfere and be problematic. I'm sure there are a lot of people listening who don't have that knowledge, and it really gets in their way. Yeah,
absolutely. I have a colleague. He's a neurologist, actually, but he told me he doesn't keep his to-do list on his phone, and I said, why not? And he says, because every time I check my to-do list, I would check Facebook.
Yes.
And off he would go. So he has a paper, a little paper notebook he sticks in his pocket. So that's one way he avoids getting distracted by Facebook.
Yeah. So we talked about neurobiology, I can't even say it, interfering with concentration. What's another thing that can get in the way and interfere with concentration?
Well, one of the things that I've discovered with having worked with probably thousands of people over the last 30 years with ADHD is that it seems to be common that folks with ADHD forget to set their intention about what they want to pay attention to in particular. So it's when you do set your intention deliberately to say, okay, I'm going to work on this project, this paper I have to write for my boss, whatever it is, for the next 30 minutes or 15 minutes, even, break your concentration times into small periods of time that are doable for you. But when you set your intention to that, then you can, as soon as you notice you're distracted, because you will be, it's normal to be distracted, that you say, oh, what was I intending to pay attention to? Oh, yeah, that paper I'm writing for my boss, and bring your attention back. Or if you're off onto Facebook, oh, what was I really intending to do? Oh, I was supposed to be making a list of things, that I have to get done for work today, whatever it was. So to set your intention is a powerful skill. Again, it doesn't cost anything to do it, but I think it counters the fact that I think so many folks, because the brain is so easily distracted and you get into some daydreaming and, you're off task so easily, you forget to set that intention. What is it that I am trying to get done?
Yeah.
What
And
do I
just
want to
that
pay attention to?
simple thing of setting your intention puts you back in control instead of the things that are distracting you and taking you away. And I know when, and I don't always set my intentions, but when I do, I can focus better, concentrate better, and I get more things done because I'm in control. And like you said, okay, my attention, my concentration, I might, still be affected, but I'm still in control, and I'm reminding myself, okay, my intention is to concentrate on getting this work done. My intention, is to be doing X, Y, or Z. Whereas if I'm allowing the distractions to control me, I have no intentions, and I just kind of free flow and end up who knows where.
It's like the distractions become as important as the thing you were trying to pay attention to because you forgot.
Yes.
Another thing that works well for that is to figure out how long you can pay attention. Time yourself. Set a timer, and as soon as you notice you're not paying attention, notice how long it was. Yep. And then break your tasks into chunks that don't exceed that time. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can pay attention pretty well for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. If you can, then set the timer every 5 minutes. Have it go off so it will remind you to bring your attention back. Or just say, I'm going to work for 5 minutes and I'm going to get up and stretch and get back to it or something. Whatever it is, but to take care of yourself. If you have trouble with concentration, what are the skills that you need to use in order to improve it?
Yeah, if you realistically, a lot of people they want to work on something for 3 hours in one sitting, and that's just not realistic for probably anyone, but especially when you have ADHD. 5 minutes at a time, 7 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time, that's doable, and you can get a lot done in 5 minutes if that's all you're focusing on, if your concentration is only on what you're intending.
That's right.
And you get up and take a break.
Undistracted minutes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. And only 5 minutes is good.
And if you do that, eventually you might be able to go 7 minutes.
Yes.
And you keep doing that, maybe you'll be able to do 10 minutes. The brain can learn. It does.
Yes,
it does.
Yeah. Okay. So we had, what else is getting in the way, Deb?
Well, the environment, and I say that with two things in mind. Mm-hmm. I already mentioned that there's too many distractions and too many things vying for our attention in our environment around us. But also with ADHD, our internal environment is very distracting because we have daydreaming. That's a core symptom of ADHD. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, we can be very creative when we're daydreaming. So we don't want to shut it off, but we want to be able to decide when we want to do it instead of have it get in the way of concentrating. We can feel stressed out and anxious. That will be an internal distraction because we're stressed out. We're thinking about all the things that we have to do or what's on our lists to do, what pressures we have on us, and that takes our concentration away as well. Depression can make concentration take a hit. It's one of the symptoms of depression. And so for the internal distractions, we can practice mindfulness. I mean, that is like the perfect antidote to those internal distractions because it actually retrains the brain to rewire itself to make concentration easier. It just builds the neuronal pathways, the concentration neuronal pathways, so it's easier. It gets easier and easier and easier with practice. And it's, a lot of folks with ADHD say, I can't do that. But you know what? I bet you can pay attention for 30 seconds.
Yes.
And if you can do that for 10 times in a row, maybe you can pay attention for 1 minute. And by listening to a guided meditation, I have some 10 meditations on a MP3 called Mindfulness Toolkit on my website, and I'll mention a discount I'll give to folks that are listening that they can get that, and just practice those. Just listen to it. It's really not too hard. They're not very long, each of them, and you will be training your brain to be able to concentrate better. Yeah.
And you talked about starting with 30 seconds. I mean, those are moments. That's something just about anyone can start with, can add into their day. You're not saying start with a 30-minute mindfulness meditation. You're being realistic.
Too hard.
And 30 seconds can make a difference, and like you can gradually, work your way up. But even 30 minutes of just connecting, breathing, being mindful, 30 seconds, that can be life-changing, those moments of mindfulness to start
Absolutely. With. It resets you somehow.
Yeah.
It just clears your mind and pushes the reset button. And then external distractions, you really have to look at what gets in your way. What is it that's taking your concentration offline, and identify the distractions and remove them and set up a distraction-free space, whether it be in your office, at work, at home, whatever it is that you're trying to get something done, to just get the distractions out of there. Maybe you could use headphones to block out sound that is distracting you, or use a sound machine. Another technique is called distraction delay, and basically is have a piece of paper and a pencil down when you're trying to do something, and every time you notice that you're getting distracted by something, write it down. Don't do it, just write it down and bring your attention back to what you're trying to do. Don't impulsively act on all those distractions, just write it down. Then you've got a list of things. You can do them later when you focus on them.
Yeah. And that's one thing a lot of us with ADHD do, is we move on to the distraction because we're afraid we'll forget about it. But if you write it down, and I like that you said piece of paper and pen instead of your phone so you can get on Candy Crush or whatever it is. And I can relate to that, the Candy Crush. So, yeah, you can just write it down and come back, delay it. You're not saying forget about it, delay it, come back to it.
Right. It's a nice way to, once you've written it down, you don't have to worry about it anymore because it's there.
Yeah.
You'll go back to it.
So environment, what else do you find gets in the way?
Well, so many people have told me that when they don't sleep well, their ADHD symptoms are multiplied exponentially.
Yeah.
They just can't concentrate. They can't calm themselves down and stay focused. That everything that they struggle with ordinarily just gets so much worse. So, and then of course, the research shows us that folks with ADHD often have trouble going to sleep at night. One of the big things there is just getting distracted. When you're supposed to get ready for bed, you don't. So you go to bed later and later. And sleep hygiene would recommend that we go to bed and get up at the same time every day, so our body gets into that rhythm and that routine. And that we need, and to remove distractions from the bedroom, so we can set up the bedroom for sleep and maybe sex and nothing else.
Yeah.
So that so you can start to associate the bed with sleeping instead of doing work or being on the computer or playing a video game or watching TV. No, it's about sleeping.
Yes.
And to fall asleep, to listen to a sleep meditation. I have a nice sleep meditation MP3 on my website. Again, I'll give you a discount on that at the end. But there are techniques, when you don't get enough sleep, that's going to interfere with your concentration.
Yes, sleep is a huge one. I think sleep is a problem for everyone, but especially ADHD. And there's been studies, there's connections between ADHD and, sleep issues, so it's so important to get a good night's sleep, and that sleep hygiene. I think a lot of people just aren't mindful of that, aren't even aware of how important it is to, prepare yourself to sleep. But yeah, sleep is a huge one. Not only, lack of sleep, it's not just ADHD issues, it brings on physical conditions too. So
Absolutely.
Sleep is huge. Okay, so sleep, and I think we have time to talk about one more thing that's getting in the way today.
The other is relatively biological, but it's nutrition. The studies have shown that there are some mineral deficiencies commonly found in folks that have ADHD. So you can have them tested and find out if that's true for you. That could interfere, make it harder for you to concentrate and regulate your hyperactivity. Some of those are zinc, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and ferritin. So if they're low, you could supplement them, and that could improve attention and cognitive deficits. That's what the research has shown. So there's mineral deficiencies. The other thing is that sugar and caffeine for some people are very activating. And, you know, each person knows themselves better than I do. We have to kind of look at, you know, are you using those to stay focused? Caffeine can normalize a test of attention, but it's very addictive, and it can kind of shoot you in the foot when it wears off. And now you can't concentrate. So we recommend folks with ADHD not be using caffeine and sugar. And I know some people are going, what do you mean? But and artificial colors can be a problem for some people. Too activating. It's hard to concentrate when you're wired. You know, you just can't stay put with your attention. So overall, we've got, you know, 5 excellent things to think about when you have trouble concentrating. Looking at the neurobiology and finding ways to help with that. Setting your intention about what you're going to pay attention. Removing distractions and setting up a distraction-free environment. Practicing mindfulness to train your brain to be able to pay attention and to really get good sleep and good nutrition.
And these are all relatively easy. Not that it's going to be super simple to change them overnight, but these are things that are relatively easy to pay attention to and to begin making changes with. So I want to thank you.
They are.
So, Deb, we are actually towards the end of today's show. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave people with? And I know you mentioned you have a discount code to give to people, so could you give that?
Right. I have for my Mindfulness Toolkit MP3 and my Meditations for Concentration MP3. That is actually for kids to improve concentration, and the other one is for adults and teens. If you use the word 25, one word, all caps, 25. It'll give you 25% off when you get to the checkout, you know, the cart or whatever. So you can find me on thebrainlady.com. I have lots of articles about ADHD. I have some teletrainings about stress, transforming stress, and about mindfulness, the basics and beyond that you might be interested in. You know what? If you use that 25 coupon code, you'll get 25% off of those. That's a big savings.
Great.
So, I, you know, thanks for listening, and I just want to let you know that I wish you an amazing and successful life with your ADHD. I happen to love folks that have ADHD. So.
Yeah, we are cool people.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Deb Burdick. Definitely check out Deb's website. She has some great resources. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And be sure to stop by our new website at ADHDSupportTalk.com. Thanks again.